Well, good afternoon. This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. This is a tropical update for the All Hazards Consortium Sensitive Information Sharing Environment. And we're taking a look at the tropics here. We don't have anything developing currently, but we do have an area that the National Hurricane Center is watching, and we're going to update you on that as well. So what you see here is the GOES satellite image, and we have the sea surface temperature data turned on as well. And that is something that is always interesting to watch. It does change every day because we have mixing of the waters, and some waters cool. And I'm going to show you the sea surface temperature anomalies that are above or below average given this time of year. And that's going to be something that should be quite interesting to take a look at. So what I'm going to look at first is this area of showers and storms that are developing in the southwestern Caribbean. There is a very broad low pressure area that's expected to develop. I mean, when I say broad, I mean out into the Pacific and over into the Caribbean, in this area right here. That is why the National Hurricane Center is watching this particular area for development right in here. And I'll show you that on their outlook where they have a 40% chance of something developing over the next 7 days. So this is going to be a very slow process. I think what you're witnessing here is basically putting a pot on the stove, turning the heat on low, and waiting for it to boil. We don't have all the conditions that are coming together, but the models, as you know, have been forecasting something to develop in this area, and it's even extended up towards Hispaniola and almost over to Puerto Rico as well. And so what we're seeing is this broad area of low pressure that's going to develop in the southwestern Caribbean. And here, let me take this full screen so you can see, and we can just chat about it a little bit. This broad area of low pressure that's developing, and we're going to see a low pressure system develop in the next several days. Now, it could be by the weekend. It could be early next week. And the models want to develop something. They keep pushing towards developing something, but it's just not coming together as of yet. However, what we can say is when a model consistently wants to develop something, we keep our eyes on it. And that is a good sign that in the future, we may see a low pressure center develop. It doesn't mean it's going to be a hurricane. It could be a tropical depression, could become a tropical storm. But the first thing I want to point out, like I did yesterday, is we have plenty of warm water to worry about. So that ingredient is in place. Check that one off the box. What we need now is a lot of moisture in place, and we're seeing that. We see these clouds down here. It is fairly moist, but not overly moist right now. So we need to improve on the moisture if a system is going to develop. And we need little shear, not much shear in the atmosphere. And we really don't have too much of that. We do have some. You can see these clouds, low levels moving that way. Up here a little bit further, there's some shear moving this way. That's winds at about 25,000 feet that are pushing this way. So currently, it's not favorable at all for anything to develop in this area, but we're focusing down on here where that pot is kind of cooking. And so I'm going to show you GeoCollaborate here, and we'll show you what the National Hurricane Center is looking at. This is the area in the Caribbean. Two other areas in the Pacific are still being watched for sure. But we're focusing on this one in the Caribbean, where the National Hurricane Center has a 0% chance of something forming in this area over the next 2 days. So that's today as Tuesday, so Wednesday and Thursday, nothing. But over the next 7 days, there is a 40% chance of something developing, which is less than 50, obviously. But we'll keep watching this area here and see what happens over the next several days. Now, I do want to show you, we do some work with NOAA's Hurricane Research Division, and I want to show you their model viewer. And I'm going to show you this particular area right here. So This is it's an experimental product of NOAA and the Atlantic Oceanographic Marine Lab, that's AOML, and HRD is the Hurricane Research Division. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you back to the beginning here of the GFS. This is the GFS model. And what you're looking at are the heights in the atmosphere. Where you see the red or orangish colors, the heights are pretty high. You're not going to see much in the way of intense low pressure systems when you see the heights being fairly high here. And look at this high pressure system over the mid-Atlantic region. That is creating not only clear skies, some high thin clouds moving around. There's some thin layers actually of moisture at about 20 to 30,000 feet. So we know that contrails are going to not only develop but sustain themselves. So there's been a lot of contrails in the air today as jets make their way from one place to the other. Not chemtrails, no such thing as that. But you can see this high pressure system is dominating all the way down into the Gulf of Mexico, and high pressure centers extend out into the Atlantic. And then there's another one here just in the North Atlantic as well. So a lot of high pressure. There is a low in the middle of the Atlantic here that's causing waves of 10 to 13 feet for cruise ships that are in that area. Just talking to a passenger on one of them that said waves are hitting their sixth floor deck out here in the ocean. So that's pretty amazing. But hopefully they're not moving as fast as this low is moving out. So waves should at least stay what they are, if not diminish a little bit. But it doesn't look like a fun trip from there to Portugal. Anyway, down in the Gulf of Mexico, nothing developing. But what I want you to watch is this area down here as I advance the forecast period. So this was initialized this morning, and I'm going to take you through step by step here. I'm not going to stop at every step. Here we are on Wednesday, October 30th. That's at 7 in the morning. And we continue on into Thursday. This is Halloween. In the morning and then in the afternoon. And you can see this broad area of low pressure developing in the Caribbean. There's also a little low here. Not really much to speak of. That means, though, that we are getting more moisture in this area. So anywhere that these low pressures develop, likely we'll get quite a bit of rain as these come together. So I'm going to continue this forecast. Now we're into Friday, and we're into Friday. This is Friday morning. And you can see a low pressure system that's trying to form still in the southwestern Caribbean. This is not a tropical depression or a tropical storm. It's just a low area of pressure that could take on tropical characteristics. And that's what the GFS wants to do. This is Friday night. So let's just keep on moving on here, and we'll move into Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon. So we have the GFS trying to develop one low pressure here, basically northeast Hispaniola. Here's Puerto Rico right here. And then another one in this area. So it's looking at perhaps two low pressure systems. And that's why we have to keep monitoring this, because boy, this is a painful evolution of something that's going to happen, and we certainly hope nothing happens with this evolution. But look at this. We're already out to Sunday afternoon, and it's trying to consolidate on a low-pressure system over Hispaniola. And if it does that, remember, we're going to have quite a bit of rain over that area, which means mudslides and landslides. That's what happens when you have consistent rain in the tropics, especially over these islands. So I'll continue on into Monday. And Monday, it still has a low pressure system over western Hispaniola, eastern Cuba. And now we're going into Monday afternoon and then Tuesday morning. And so look at this. This is where I'm basically going to end. We're at hour 168. I do call it fantasy land, but I want to just give you a picture of what the GFS model is looking at. A small low pressure system here and a broader low pressure system here close to Jamaica. And so again, look at this high pressure really dominating, really sticking in, causing drought conditions, growing pretty rapidly along the East Coast. It's going to be pretty tough there. It's going on the third and fourth week of areas with no rain at all. Atlanta, no rain in the rain gauge in the month of October. That's going to be a record for them if we go on a couple more days with no rain, and it looks like we will. But down here in the tropics, this is where all the way out to Tuesday with not really much in the way of tropical systems developing or with a whole lot of confidence really saying something's going to be here. Now, the National Hurricane Center is saying that we could have a depression by the weekend. So we are going to continue to monitor this and continue to produce tropical updates here for the SICE and the All Hazards Consortium. The last thing I want to leave you with are the sea surface temperature anomalies. I showed you this yesterday. This is really an excellent data set because we're looking here in the Gulf of Mexico, and we can see some abnormally cool waters mixing in with the abnormally warm waters. So overall, the surface of the Gulf of Mexico is warm, but we are seeing some anomalies which could tend to thwart or weaken or not sustain serious tropical storm intensification if anything were to get into the Gulf of Mexico. But down here is where this development is expected to occur. So we have plenty of warm water, anomalously warm water from about 2 to 3 degrees Celsius warmer than average. So you can think about that as fuel, high-octane fuel ready to fuel any tropical system that develops. And then, of course, you have mixture up here with the Gulf Stream. But look at all the warm waters, anomalously warm all throughout the Atlantic Ocean here, which is concerning. Now, one last thing I do want to show you is look at this. This is La Nina that is developing. We are expecting a La Nina to be in full force over the summer. It was slow to develop, but look at this. These are sea surface temperature anomalies and some incredible indication that La Nina is really taking hold here, causing a lot of cool waters around the Galapagos Islands, upwelling a lot of nutrients in a La Nina a year. So there should be a lot of nice fat animals there swimming around in the Galapagos and happy. So that's really it for this tropical update. And I wanted to just keep you posted. I'm going to keep doing this for the next couple days, try to make them shorter. And we'll be back tomorrow with another tropical update, maybe in the early afternoon or later afternoon, depending on the data that I'm looking at and the time I can open up to produce this update. So I'm Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications. Thanks for watching this tropical update. And please take care of yourself. Please take care of your neighbors too. They really do appreciate it. Have yourself a good evening.